You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon. This is the Extension Hour. I'm Amy Rustler, County Extension Agent for Family and Community Health, and I have with me the lovely Sharon Walker, who is one of our Montgomery County Master Gardeners, and we are going to talk a lot about some of the exciting things that the Master Gardeners have coming up for 2020. But before we do that, let's talk about a few other things because, like I said, this is the Extension Hour, and we've got lots of great things going on in all of our departments. So one of the exciting things, I guess, for the 4-H department is they are doing a meat science workshop. And I have to say a funny story about this. You know, Kim, so she said, "What is that? That sounds really weird." So meat science is one of the projects that kids can do in the 4-H world, and it's really looking at cuts of meat, meats that they do some judging of those meats so that they can determine what is the different types of grades and what that means, and then also the nutritional value of those cuts of meat. So, but the really exciting thing about this workshop is that they're going to do a grilling 101, which means they're going to have some grills out there, and they're actually going to grill their own steak and then eat that steak. So that'll be a very yummy workshop. And that will be on November 23rd, and it will be at our Montgomery County Extension Complex, I like to call it, in the Tom Leroy Education Building, which we fondly refer to as the Master Gardener Building. So that's, again, on Saturday, November 23rd. It'll be 9:30 to 1 p.m. You do need to sign up ahead of time, and you can do that by calling the 4-H office, or you can sign up on Eventbrite, Montgomery County 4H.eventbrite.com, and get all registered for that because that's going to be a really exciting, fun workshop. And that is something that kids can do as a sort of like a project in 4-H. I mean, it's related to their livestock projects and that kind of thing, but you know, you don't have to have an animal to be able to judge some meat. So Justin Sines is the one who's in charge of that. And actually, so he did a workshop so last night. We're recording today's show, so we're not actually on Friday, but last night Justin did a workshop for STEM, which is science, engineering, technology, engineering, and math. Get it in the right order, STEM. So he had a lot of great science experiments that the kids were participating in, a lot of glow-in-the-dark stuff. So he had the lights out, and the kids were doing all kinds of experiments in the kind of in the dark. So it was really cool. So lots of exciting things happening in 4-H, and some of the things that maybe we don't often associate specifically with 4-H, but definitely has a whole world of opportunities there. And we are fortunate in Montgomery County to have a really great 4-H program. So we also are fortunate to have a great Master Gardener program. So I've rambled a little bit because I get excited about 4-H. There's lots of cool things. But we have Sharon Walker with us today. So Sharon, you want to say hi, introduce yourself?
Well, it's so nice to be here and to have this opportunity to share with the Montgomery County residents what we have to offer you day in and day out to help your gardening chores or your gardening passion more successful. And I've been involved with this program since 2009, and I had that on my bucket list that whenever I retired, I could hardly wait to find out what in the world I was doing wrong and how to do it right, so I'd quit killing things.
So before we go on too far, do you mind telling us what you did in your former life?
I was a high school administrator and in education for 38 years.
Yeah.
So.
And then you also volunteer with other groups besides just Montgomery County Master Gardeners.
Yes, I have the pleasure of serving on the board for the Tri-County Behavioral Health System, and through that I participate on a state level board of what's going on throughout Texas and the nation in the area of behavioral health science. And then I'm involved at the First Presbyterian Church, my other family, and very involved there. And so those three and 3 grandkids fill up my schedule.
Yep. Keep you busy for sure. One of the things, excuse me, that we're doing with part of our family and community health work that we're doing is we're getting much more into behavioral health and mental health. Several of us serve on the Behavioral Health and Suicide Prevention Task Force that we have here in Montgomery County. And I was at a meeting at Tri-County, and we were in the boardroom, and I was like, I recognized your picture on the wall. So that was pretty cool. So I think that we're just really fortunate to have great volunteers like you and so many others. I mean, there's like over 400 now.
Yes.
So you also take leadership roles within the Master Gardener Association. So tell us a little bit about what your leadership roles are.
Well, what I am currently focused on is as the chairman of the Outreach Education Committee. And with a mission statement that says that's our purpose in life, we have tried to expand and get more into the community and get from the community their questions and what they would like programs on. So we have worked up the schedule and list of programs from 2020, and so 10 months out of the year, we have programs on a Saturday morning. We try to stay with the second Saturday of the month, so there's some continuity as long as we don't run into a major 4-H program or we work with the Extension Office so that we coordinate everything. But we've got a whole slate of classes. There are 2 each Saturday morning that we offer, and we start in January all about trees and trees that do well in Montgomery County, not just for those of us who want to have fruit trees or nut trees, but we're going to be talking about the trees for your yard and that you want to know how to take care of and what to do if you spot something funny with your tree. So we're starting there, and we're going on.
And that's
with
really
a lot.
perfect timing, too, to do that in January. I mean, you guys are very strategic about the way you plan things because there's also a fruit and nut tree sale that happens. So you get an opportunity to learn more about it, and then you get an opportunity to actually buy something so that you can practice what you've learned, right?
Exactly. And our other focus is to try to get people to know how to reach us, that the offices, like all the extension offices out at the 9020 Airport Road facility are open from 8 to 12 and 1 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have master gardeners in the building in what we call the phone room, and we can answer calls. We also have a email system where we can get your emails of questions and respond, and we can get pictures that way from you, and we're there. So if you want to bring something in or come by and sit down and chat or go out and look at the demonstration gardens. But we have that available Monday through Friday unless there's a holiday.
Yeah, and I think that's another great resource that sometimes people in the public may not recognize or realize that is available.
Right.
So, and I think the outreach classes are just awesome because, a lot of people think, I have to become a master gardener, and it's a pretty intense program that you have to go through to become an intern and then to maintain a master gardener status. And that's not necessarily for everybody, but there are a lot of people out there that just want to learn more. So this outreach, which is, like you said, part of what the Master Gardener Association is all about, is it's a great opportunity for people to learn more about all kinds of things.
Exactly.
So January, we've got trees.
And then in February, we have a class or some classes that were requested by quite a few people. And that's about the grapes that do well in Montgomery County, not just the table grapes, but if you want to make wine at home, this class is going to give you all the steps and know-how to be able to make your own wine. And we also then have a section on making your own beer.
Yeah.
And the work that's going on in Texas to start developing and growing hops further south than just the Panhandle. So we think that will pull in a lot of interest. The fall plant sale, as we were talking about with the the trees and plants and things you want to either plant or take care of at that time of the year is on the 25th of January.
Okay.
So the 11th of January is the classes, and then the 25th will be that sale.
Okay, and let's back up just a second too. With those classes, usually there's 2 classes that are
Correct.
offered, so whoever is interested could come to one or both. There's a very small nominal charge for that just kind of covers supplies and refreshments and that kind of thing.
Correct. It's if you want to come to both classes, it's $8. If you want to come to one, it's $5. But yes, the trees are the first 2 hours, 8 to 10, and then the wine and beer. What you need to do it and how to do it is from 10:30 to 12:30.
Okay, so those are both on January
January
11th.
the 11th.
Okay, so the first one is about trees, the second one, wine and beer.
Yes. 'cause
All right.
That would be the time of the year that you also are going to be able to buy grapes. We'll be selling those as well on the 25th.
Okay, right.
All right. And then in February, the first class, another one very timely, that we get more calls and more requests and questions about turf than anything else.
And,
So-
and for people who might not know, turf is basically grass, right?
Correct.
Your lawn, that kind of thing. So
It's what do you
Yes.
plant and what are your choices, and then how do you take care of it, and why isn't it being beautiful and green, and why is my water bill so high? And so we address all of those, and that class is going to be on the 8th of February from 8 to 10, and then the second class is all about spring vegetables.
Okay.
What vegetables do well in Montgomery County, planting them, care of them, what you need to do as far as protecting them from insects and disease and our crazy Texas weather. So that's, again, that's very timely to classes for folks that are concerned or interested in those.
and February is a good time to start planning for spring. So you may not plan, you might not actually plant till a little bit later, but it's good
Right.
to be prepared for that. And that's one of the things that this series was instituted to do,
Right.
is to provide timely information, again, for the general public. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a break, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the rest of the year, because we are just barely getting started on what you guys have planned. But you are listening to 104.5 and 106.1, and you know what? We're actually podcast as well, so it runs on Facebook Live, but then also we record it and put it on YouTube, and you can go back and watch it anytime. So if you want to know what was it that Sharon Walker said about those dates, or about some of the other advice that we're going to give a little bit later, then you can always go back and watch that. So we will be back in just a couple minutes.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris. And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show.
If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app for your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That is Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
And welcome back. This is the Extension Hour. I'm Amy Ressler, County Extension Agent, Family and Community Health. I've got Sharon Walker with me, who is one of our Master Gardeners with the Montgomery County Master Gardener Association. And we are talking about a lot of things that are going on with Master Gardeners because they do a lot of great things right there at the office. So great, beautiful demonstration gardens all around. And I think that that's another thing that sometimes people don't realize. All of those gardens that are around our building are actually demonstrations. So you guys are kind of testing out what works here and new varieties. And there's just so much actually going on. So besides it just looking pretty, there's a lot of work and a lot of science behind what you guys are doing. And then sharing that with the public is also part of the major mission of what Montgomery County Master Gardeners do. So we've been talking about all the classes that are coming up. So for 2020, there's a great slate of classes that are offered. We talked about in January, we're going to do something about trees. We're going to do something about beer and wine. We're going to have our fall plant sale. And then February is on...
It's on your yard. It's
yes,
on
that's right.
turf or grass, whichever you would prefer, and how to take care of it, and your selection choices, and what to do to handle the problems that pop up, because they obviously do. It's just what
Gardening's easy,
it's
right?
all about, right.
You just plant some stuff and it grows.
You just watch it just be gorgeous. And then the second class in February is on the spring vegetables for your gardens. And as Amy was talking, it also reminded me that we want to just demonstrate plants, but different ways you can garden, from the adaptive garden that shows that whether you are at that point in your life that bending over or getting out on your knees is much easier than getting up, or you have some other limitations. It could be that you live in an apartment and have a very small area. It's other ways to raise, whether it's floral or vegetable, in some adaptive gardening containers. So we have a great specialty garden on the different things you can do.
Yeah, that one's wonderful.
So,
yeah.
Yes, and I see myself getting closer and closer to wanting those. March is that time that so often people think that, everything should be planted and everything should be growing. However, we all need to remember that all starts with the soil. So we have a class in the morning at 8 and evening at 10 that's all about how to improve your soil and how to use your gardening practices so that it supports your flowers, your shrubs, your vegetables, and at the same time will minimize weeds, insects, and plant diseases. So that is really a good, timely class for those of us who find one or more of those issues happening every year.
Right. Not to mention that the weather in March is pretty crazy, unpredictable. So it's probably not the best time to plant, but it is the best time to get your soil ready.
Correct. And the second class on March the 14th is from 10:30 to 12:30, and it's all about planting and planting a pollinator garden. And our focus will be on the earth kind plants that Texas A&M AgriLife Extension has been studying and had all kind of test beds around the state. So they have identified those plants that are really the easiest and least expensive and least care for us to plant in Montgomery County.
And is that what it means to be earth kind? What does it take for a plant or a technique to be considered earth kind?
It's going to come back to that the plant needs, as I said, very little care. You don't have to have an extensive amount of water. You don't have to have all sun or all shade. It can adapt very easily to our soil types. It's a plant that they found the insects don't attack left and right. And so they're trying to make it easier for us so that if you want your garden to be beautiful all year, select the plants that are going to be the easiest to care for, but also give you great production.
Sure. So it's earth kind, but it's also like beginner kind, and
Right.
it's
And they don't-
kind to the gardeners to almost guarantee success.
Right,
Yeah.
and it doesn't need a lot of external fertilizer
Mm-hmm.
or products to spray all the time. It's a really good, hardy, strong plant.
Which means it's kind to our environment,
Correct.
kind to our earth.
Correct.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
So all about that, and that's at the March.
That's in March. We'll also cover the Texas superstars,
Mm.
natives, and other plants that do well in Montgomery County. So the goal is making things easier by starting with the right plants.
There you go. So that class is March 14th.
March the 14th.
On a Saturday.
Correct.
And again, just like all of the others that are happening about every second Saturday, is 8 to 10 and then 10:30 to 12:30. So 2 classes. People can come to one or both.
Both, correct. And the spring, our big plant sale is on March the 28th. So that's at the end of the month. And you will find most all of the plants we talk about in March at that class, you will find most of them offered available at that sale. So
Perfect.
we really want to help people and give them good plants.
Right. And lots of good information too, because the Master Gardeners are just a wealth of information. And when those plant sales happen, the Master Gardeners are all spread out through the gardens and
Correct.
and where the plants are being sold. And so people can ask whatever kind of question they want to ask.
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite question you've been asked? Or a really interesting question? Either because you do the phone room as well.
Right,
So in the
right.
phone room or at one of the sales or open garden day, which we need to talk about that too.
One of the funniest that we get quite often is someone to call in on the phone and say, I have this bug, and he's black, and he's in the house, or he's on my porch, or he's in my garden. What is it, and how do I get rid of it?
It's a black
It's
bug.
like, it's a black bug. And so then we talk, of course, about how they can get a picture of it to us, or if they can bring a sample so we then can help narrow it down, because as most all of you know, there are a gazillion bugs out there. And we do want to help people. So we'll walk them through how to send us pictures on our website or our email, and then how we can get back to them to get those answers. My favorite ones are from folks who have recently moved here,
Yeah.
have lived all over the world, but never in Southeast Texas. And it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah. Why doesn't it grow?
Why is it hot today? And why haven't we had any rain? Or how do you turn the rain off? Or so it's helping people to adjust to our part of the world.
Yeah. And that's just one of the things that I think is so great about the Master Gardener Association. And I guess from being an educator, that idea of there's really no dumb questions.
No,
So,
never.
you may feel like, I should know this. I mean, everybody should know whatever, because plants grow, right? But no, there's a lot of us that don't know. And the Master Gardeners, you guys are always just so kind and helping and getting to the bottom of the question. Because, oftentimes people really don't know how to ask questions.
Exactly.
They kind of know what they want, but expressing that sometimes can be very difficult. And especially when there's frustration with something like a bug that's bothering them that they don't want there.
I don't like bugs that bother either. But we have, I think another one that people will like that's been requested is in April on the 11th. The first class in the morning is going to be all about designing a garden, especially garden.
Okay.
Whether you have a lot of shade, and it's like, what do I do? How do I do this? Or you have all these trees and you've planted flowers up around them and they aren't growing. But how to, between container gardening, gardening for a wet area or a boggy area, a shade garden, or one that you have so much sun, hot west coming in sun, what can I do and how can I do it? And so we're going to have a class all about designing and establishing, getting all that ready, and then for you to set it up before it's too late to enjoy it.
Right. And speaking of no dumb questions, I mean, part of what those classes will answer questions like, what is a boggy area? How do I know what that is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the second class, another area that we have a lot of interest in Montgomery County because it's so convenient to grow are herbs. So the master gardeners that work in the demonstration garden for herbs will be conducting that class, and they're not only going to tell you the very best selections and varieties, but how to care for them and the various things you need to know about soil prep. And they're going to even cover propagation and companion plants.
Wow.
So, and the demonstration gardens for the herbs is absolutely gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. Yes. So we are only like halfway through the year, but there's a lot more that we want to talk about that is coming up with the classes that the Master Gardeners have. But we're going to take one more little break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to the Extension Hour. We're here on Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m., 104.5, 106.1, Facebook Live, YouTube, all those great things, and we'll be right back.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Just contact the station on irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hey guys, I'm Joey Savage.
Corey DLG.
We are Nerd Thug Radio. Catch us every Monday from 1 to 3 and check out our website, nerdthugradio.com.
We like to talk about quilting, horseback riding, and baking quiche.
Actually, we don't, but we do like talking nerdy to you.
That's right. Every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m., hashtag talking nerdy to you.
And we are back once again on this lovely afternoon. I say it's a lovely afternoon. It really is kind of nice. But so it's weather right now this time of year is pretty crazy. But today is actually October 30th, and we are recording for the show that will run on November 1st. But as I mentioned before in some of the other segments, is that these programs are recorded and podcast, so you can go back and listen to them. So Sharon Walker, who aired November 1st, 2019, had great information about all the great outreach things that the Montgomery County Master Gardeners are doing. So we've been talking about classes. I think we're about halfway through the year. These are sessions that are held on usually the second Saturday of the month. They're at the Master Gardener building, that's what we like to call it, at 9020 or 9020 Airport Road. Great facility, wonderful things all around. That's in Conroe, I should mention that as well. So classes 8 to 10, 12, and then 10:30 to 12:30. So we've been talking about all the ones. So let's kind of go through the list, and then we'll go to the next one that's coming up. We're going to start out with trees and beer and wine in January, and then we're going to do turf and spring vegetables in February. This is like a quiz for me, trying to remember all the plant sales going to happen on January 25th. And then in March, the classes are, remind me.
It's on improving your soil
Okay.
and gardening practices to support your flowers, shrubs, minimize those weeds and insects and plant diseases. And the second one is on planting a pollinator's garden using earth kind, superstars, native plants for our area.
All right. And then in
April,
April?
we've got designing specialty gardens. So the focus will be on if you have a boggy or an area that stays wet all the time, that type of garden and how you need to plant and what plants to use for doing that. A shade garden, container gardening, and even the dry gardens that some people prefer. And the second class on the 11th of April will be on herbs. And not only some time in the demonstration garden for the herbs, but how to plant them, select them, propagate them, enjoy them. But it's looking at it from this idea of growing them. We're really not going to focus on cooking with them at this particular class, which we have done before.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And, you know, herbs is one of my favorite because I do teach a lot of cooking classes and nutrition classes, and herbs is a great part of a healthy lifestyle. But yeah, learning to grow them so that you can enjoy them in your food is important as well. And then you kind of touched on something that I think is another important thing to talk about in terms of these classes. Many of them offer hands-on activities as well.
Correct.
So it's not just somebody talking, but it's actually let's get our hands dirty, sometimes literally, get your hands dirty, doing some of those activities so that you've got hands-on things that you can take back and really apply when you get back home instead of trying to remember, now what did she say? What did he say?
We do like to get folks in the demonstration gardens as they're talking, or the presenters are talking or doing something, or involve the folks in the class in physically doing it. One of those is coming up in May of this next year. We have 2 events in May. The first one is on the 2nd, and that's our Spring Open Gardens event. And the second one is a class on the 16th that's just one class. It's a 3-hour class on how to care and sharpen your gardening tools.
Yeah.
So it's totally hands-on. Everyone will be asked to bring at least 2 of their hand gardening tools.
It's a BYOT,
So
bring your
it
own
is
tools.
Bring your own tools, that's right. We're not going to eat them or drink them. We're going to sharpen them and take care of them. And it's an excellent hands-on class. But the May is such a busy month with kids graduating from high school, kids graduating from young adults from college, Mother's Day, all kinds of things that we kind of go a little different in May other than the normal two classes.
Sure.
June, we're thinking about, it's hot and people don't want to be outside any more than they have to, but what are some things that you must deal with every year that will benefit you to cover in June? And the first class on the 13th is on dealing with critters in your garden.
That's the title, Critters.
Critters in your garden. I happen to live where we have roaming deer and rabbits and armadillos and all kinds of birds, squirrels, raccoons, possums. They're all around us. I live off 1488, and so we have lots of critters. And knowing what to plant or where to plant it or how to protect it. I had to put a cage around a small peach tree yesterday because I failed to realize it's that time of the year that the deer are rubbing their furry antlers on tree trunks. So if you see your trunk of your tree has got lots of rubbing or the bark is rubbed back,
It's probably deer.
Expect probably it's a deer.
And then that can also does that cause damage to the tree so that it doesn't develop
If
correctly?
you don't take care of it, it could kill the tree, depending on the size of the tree, the age of the tree.
So when we're talking about critters, we're talking about bigger critters, not those like unidentified black bugs.
No, we're not talking about the bugs at that point. The bugs are going to be in the second class.
Okay.
And it's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. And those are from the beneficial insects, which so many of us have learned through master gardening that just going out and spraying the world with insecticide is not helping your garden. The majority of our bugs, insects, are really beneficial. And they help to pollinate. They actually take care of the bad things that are going on with your trees or your shrubs or your plants. So it's what do we do to know that we're not killing a good one, but we're helping by eliminating a bad one, and how can we do it without just inundating our soil and plants with insecticidal or insecticides that are out there on the market?
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting. We will not try to tell you or identify any and every insect, but also the presenters are planning on talking about worms.
Okay.
That not just the worms down in the soil, but we get back to a certain stage of many of our flying moths and butterflies and so forth that people will call us and say, I've got worms in my tree, what do I do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So then it's helping to identify what's really going on, and then like the webworm that so many of us see in our trees.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just punch a hole in that web, and our wasp will go in and eat those webworms, and they won't bother you anymore.
Okay.
Do not go out and try to burn them out of your tree.
Yeah, I could see that going wrong. Don't burn the tree.
That is a big problem. Could also fall back down on your head. So, but simple ways to deal with things.
So those are the classes in June.
That's in June.
Critters and bugs. Okay.
And so then, and the critters, our extension agriculture agent, Brandon Gregson, is going to teach that class. So we're real excited about his expertise being shared with the community on those smaller animals. So many times people think he only deals with cows and horses and that type of thing. And no, he's
all kinds of critters.
All kinds of critters, even the slithering ones along the ground. In July, we're going to look at initially the garden issues that can make up or enhance the use of pre- and post-emergent herbicides. So that those of you who are concerned about those weeds that are taking over your yard, this can help you to know what to do and when to do it, to may not be able to totally wipe them out, but to help control them.
Okay.
So, and the second class in July is going to be on plant propagation for your home garden. So that's definitely going to be a hands-on, and it will be everything from items and tools you'll need, seeds, transplanting, root development prior to transplanting, but most definitely hands-on whether you're interested in vegetables or the floral. So that's another one we're going to do inside.
Inside.
The heat.
So there'll still be some hands-on activities that can happen inside, but still just, where it's not so hot.
And in August, here we go with what we get a lot of calls about certain times of the year. And the first one is, what is this weed and how do I get rid of it? And what do I use and how quickly can I get it? Because I've joked for years that I was just going to, instead of putting labels on my flowers or my shrubs, I'm going to put them on my weeds and just say I have a weed garden. Come on over and you can see what's what. But the first class is going to be on how to identify those and determine what the correct treatment should be. The second class that day is on planning and constructing a home greenhouse. Number of residents have contacted us and wanted to know how can I do this? I don't have a lot of money. I don't want to order some big glassed-in greenhouse. So how can I do it? So we have a group of master gardeners who are going to show you how to plan it and create it and keep it inexpensive, and what you need to be sure you can do once you've got that set up, what you're going to be doing inside.
Okay. Holy moly, we're only through August, and we still have, I can't even tell, September, October, November to talk about. But gosh, it's time to take one more little break. So we're going to do that, but we'll be back in just a second, and we'll talk more about what's happening and leave you with some good tips. We'll be right back.
Hey, Montgomery County, it's me, C.C. Holmes, and I will personally like to take this time to invite you, that's right, you, to join me every Saturday and Sunday from 3 until 7 p.m., where I will bring you the very best of smooth jazz, classic jazz, and indeed, yes, the soulful sounds of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So come along and get jazzy with me. That's right, jazzy. Right here, of course, on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM, or worldwide at irlongstar.com.
This is Rick, TRC. Every Monday through Friday from 3 to 7, I play today's country hits on my show, Afternoons with Lone Star. The type of music that makes you want to get off your seat, stomp your feet, sing along at the top of your lungs, and not care who hears, on Lone Star Community Radio, Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1, and as always on worldwide, irlonestar.com.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio, broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
And welcome back one more time. We've just been talking so much about all of the great programs that the Master Gardeners have going. And, you know, I keep throwing in these little extra things, and because I always have lots of questions, and I think you guys are great for providing information. And like I said, you always are so kind and generous with your information. So don't make me feel like I'm not very smart when it comes to those kinds of things, because sometimes I'm not. But you guys learn a lot, from each other. And then these series of classes that we're talking about that are happening on Saturdays are just great for the general public. So whoever wants to can come to those classes. We've talked all the way through August, so we want to focus on what's happening in September.
Well, in September, we're going to be having the classes on the 12th, and the first one is fall vegetable gardening. They will be focusing on the soil prep you need to do, plants that they recommend, the particular varieties, and vegetables that do so well in Montgomery County in the fall, and what you need to do as far as dealing with insects and diseases and fertilization of those plants. So that turns out normally to be our biggest class of the year.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who really like to have vegetables from the fall selections.
Yay for vegetables.
Yay. The second class is going to be on different types of garden beds. And they're going to, the gentlemen and ladies that deal with all of that in our demonstration gardens are going to talk all about the different types and what materials you would need and how you are going to be watering for certain kinds of gardens and how to construct those and plan it and so forth. It's going to be really interesting, from the use of concrete cinder blocks to they're now even using the hardy plank that doesn't have to be treated and this type of thing for constructing the beds. If you do raised ones, what do I need to do so that the water doesn't rot everything away? So just all kinds of really neat things that you can do your own. That was September, so it's all about fall vegetables and then making changes or doing things with the construction of beds. The fall plant sale is going to be on October the 10th next year, so there will be a lot of good choices on flowers and shrubs and trees. We have trees at all of the plant sales, just different types for different times of the year, and vegetables, lots of good vegetables. So in October, the two classes, the first one is on the 24th of October, is Simple Home Composting Basics. The best fertilizer under the sun is compost. when you think about our forest and you go out walking around and you just think, man, all this is doing so good and nobody's running a water sprinkler system and they're not bringing in loads of compost or of fertilizing materials. What's going on? And it's just that normal cycle of leaves falling, this happening. When it does rain, it packs, it rots, it goes back into the soil. So a lot on that. The last class we're offering of the year is on October the 24th at 10:30, and that's on roses. We've had a tremendous amount of folks wanting to know more about what roses do well here, and how do I protect them, because we have, with this humidity, we have all kinds of problems with fungus, and we have problems with other diseases, and the insects just love the roses. And if you have deer, that's candy to a deer. So it's on what to select and then how to take care of it. The last activity we have next fall is on the 7th of November, and that is the Fall Open Gardens. So this coming Saturday is our Fall Open Gardens for 2019. And it's from 9 to 12. We have master gardeners all over the demonstration gardens. We have 14 different demonstration gardens, from floral and vegetable that most people would expect, but we have aquaponics system. So that is cool.
It is very cool, yeah.
What plants they're raising and how the water's involved and how the water then feeds on to the fish, and then how the fish excrement goes back through the water and fertilizes the flowers. It's amazing. So that you will find very interesting. And then we've got, as I mentioned before, the adaptive gardens, but we have what we call the bog gardens. So that shows you when you've got water or you've got a lot of shade. We have shade gardens in a few places. We have an earth kind garden. We've got bees, if you want to know about a colony of bees and what to do and how to do it. The folks that, they love those bees. They don't even get upset when the bee stings them. And so they were putting up the fall honey this morning when I was in the out at the extension office, and they will be selling that honey
at the Open Garden Day.
Yes,
Awesome.
at the Open Garden Days. The herb garden, they're going to be giving away herb plants.
Nice.
To people that come through. There's just so much going on. We have lots of areas that are just native plants. So, in the orchard, the guys and gals that work in the orchard also take care of the grapes and the turf examples. But they're going to be set up to talk about winemaking and
get a little preview of that.
We would love to be able to do that, but we found out the legalities make it impossible.
Sure.
But they will have some there that you can look at where it is in that stage of development. So, and then we have other extension areas that are involved. The family and consumer health is going to be, Becky Smith is going to be doing a demonstration where you can come in at the back of one of the large areas in the back of the extension office itself, and she's going to have a dip for fall use that's involving pumpkin and pumpkin spice.
It's yummy.
Oh, it's good. So that's going on. Our horticulture agent, Michael Potter, is going to be doing a class at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, a 30-minute class on what you need to be doing with your lawns at this time of year, and on this is the time of year to be planning and getting ready to do any kind of landscape changes in your yard. We're going to have in the pavilion, Justin is going to be there with master gardeners who deal with the Junior Master Gardener program. They're going to have lots of little activities your kids can do that day to take home with them. And our ag agent, Brandon Gregson, is going to be available to talk with you, whether it's about a pond or animals or hay production, whatever. But he'll be there also. So it's actually primarily gardening, but we want you to know that we have all of these different things available and those folks ready to help you.
Yeah, so it's called an open garden day, but it's a lot like an open house. So just come and go.
Yes.
You stay as long as you would like. And the great thing about the open garden day is, like you said, there's so many master gardeners that are there to answer questions. Of course, folks can stop by almost any time, and usually our master gardeners are more than happy to take them on a little tour. But this is like you get a whole lot of bang for your buck, which, by the way, it's free.
Right.
So
Well,
totally free for the open garden day.
And when you come in, if you'll just come over to the welcoming sign-in table, the main thing is we have a map to get put in your hands of everything that's there and where it is, so you can pretty well pick where you want to go first, second, or whatever. And then we'll have a handout or two for you on good contact information that you'll use your computer to get information if it's after hours, we aren't available. But all of that, so yes, please come.
Yep. And everything we've talked about, too, it will be available on the Master Gardener website, so mcmga.com. And then you can call 936-539-7822. Or again, stop by. Yeah, so 222425. We've got several phone numbers that we use, but that all goes to an answering system. All these classes. So, you might not be able to remember everything that we just talked about, but we will definitely have that available in lots of different ways.
The email is mcmga9020@gmail.com.
Great.
So that comes straight to us, and we can send you articles or calendars or whatever to help you.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today, Sharon,
thank you
and
for
sharing all of this wonderful information. I think just by listening to you talk about the classes, I think that there's a lot of great tips that we can take home. And then, of course, coming to those classes to learn some in-depth information, because that's what Extension is all about: people, programs, partnerships, helping Texans make their lives better. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And we'll be back next Friday, 1 to 2, right here on the Extension Hour.